Hello, my friends. Today is July the 9th, and this is a psychic reading for you if this is your birth date. This is a four-card pull to cover the year to follow, approximately 6 to 10 minutes. Bear with me. I do psychic readings and healing work. Check out my credits. Get a reading today over the internet if you'd like. This is the four cards, a lens card to look at the year through, a challenge you might face this year, an action you can take to stay in balance, and an outcome or synopsis card, all randomly drawn from four different decks. This is Wild Archetypes. It's the King. This is the lens card. So the King. Either you are the king of some domain and realm, or someone else is the king of some domain and realm, at least in their own mind and their own concept. And so the king is all about either how you or they are working with others to build an empire. The king is magnanimous, is one that, listens to and respects other people's opinions, brings each person along, understanding that each one is significant to the well-being of the kingdom, of the empire, of the grouping, whatever that means. But then there's the petty kings and the small kings who only about themselves and only think about their own fame and only think about their own glory and only think about their own appetites being fed, and they might drag other people along, but they often don't want to, and they push others aside, saying whatever, they're unworthy and they're wrong and they're bad and they don't deserve what the king has to offer, because the king is next to God. So there's these great depths and heights of being a king, of being someone who's magnanimous and brings everybody along and welcomes everybody in and makes a truly diversified hothouse of inspiration and innovation and change and growth and civilizations, structures that work for everybody and treats everyone fair, or the other side of the kingdom where someone is not treating everybody fair. So what does that mean for you? Well, Six of Cups. This is the particular challenge for this year. Something will come up where maybe some place that you felt heart-centered before, this is a family or a child with their toys. They're sharing in a tea party. They're sharing in a communion. So there's some kind of communion that you have with others where your heart is able to be open and heard and vulnerable and listen to others. But for some reason, that is not there at some point, and there is something that blocks maybe your way, or maybe blocks everybody's way to finding their heart and being open, but it seems to block your way in particular. Is there some kind of king, and this can be a man or a woman, is there some kind of ruler, king, at least in their own head, who won't listen to you, won't hear you, won't respect you, keeps denying you, keeps making you an outcast, keeps making you, unworthy? Or is there a king who is able to bring everybody together at this table? And maybe you're that king that's trying to work toward bringing everybody together, but you have an opposition to maybe one person or a bunch of people. Now, is this an organization? Is this a church? Is this a society? Is this a family? Is this even within yourself? Are you fighting the sense of control and rule within yourself, and trying to be, loving and kind and compassionate to some part of yourself, but at the same time you're in turmoil, and some older clutching fear place wants you to act out and wants you to demand and wants you to state your goal and nix other people. I think this is mostly about somebody outside of yourself, who's acting like they don't care and you don't matter. So here's the action to take. Opossum. Play dead, hide. Play dead. Act nonchalant. Act like it doesn't bother you. Act like you're uninterested. The people who are angry and demanding and use their power to rule often think they're going to get a particular reaction, and that's why they do it. That's a lot of psychology of anger. It's like, well, you want to repeat this because then you feel in power. So if that person who is coming up against somebody's anger doesn't feed them the normal thing, doesn't feed them back their anger, doesn't feed them back their fear, or doesn't feed them back their resentment or their revenge, then that energy gets bored, or that energy gets upset and walks away. And sometimes they'll try to push harder, but if you keep acting nonchalant, if you keep playing dead, if you keep giving off the sense of this is unimportant to me, whatever you're doing is unimportant to me, then oftentimes the bully will pull themselves back. Now that hasn't changed the situation, but it has alleviated, I think, the frontal response that one wants to come to. And I think when you do more of that, do you become the king who other people can respect and other people can listen to, and you can find your way to your own heart and your own truth and your own identity. At some point, you will share where you're at. I think when things subside, when energies tamp down, I think when other people take up arms against the bully. If this is one bully, if this is one king, then everybody has to. We can't all just say, "You don't bother me," because oftentimes it does bother us. So we have to also then at some point stand up and say, "No, you're not doing this to us anymore. You're not doing this to me anymore. This is not the well-being of humanity that I wish to see in the world. This is not the kindness and the fairness and the equality that I wish to have in my world and in the world around me. This is not how I want to be treated. This is not how I want to treat others. This is not, do unto others as you wish to be treated is really a lot of this question mark. And I think this wounded soul who is the king, who thinks they want to own everybody, really is very wounded and really in a lot of pain, and they've been smacked down probably and abused and told they're wrong and bad and sick and whatever negativity can be thrown at them, and they are acting out of that old pain. And so maybe they need to really find a place where they can share their pain and share their feelings and break down some of those old rigid walls. And maybe you do too. So I think this is for all of us who come up against either the anger in ourselves or the anger in others, who feel like we deserve a right to have our say, and we deserve a right to have our voice, and we're going to offer it up without pushing other people to believe it or accept it, but just offer it up. And I think that's the most kind of sense of the balanced king energy that one can come up against, and that is I think the enlightenment of us all is to learn how to love and operate out of that love and listen and heal and find compassion and not be a schmuck. A good schmuck. I mean, we all need to be schmucks sometimes. And we have to love the schmucks because they're in pain, including ourselves. Love our schmuckiness and learn how to not give it all the power anymore. Oh,